This is Michael Madison. East Cleveland, Ohio serial killer Madison killed 3 women before his trial. And the judge is talking to Madison about the magnitude of his crime.
Mr. Madison, I'm going to read to you the nature of the charges against you and summarize each one for you, as well as giving you the potential penalties. I know you've had a chance to speak with counsel. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
All right. In the first charge, you're charged with aggravated murder in violation of Ohio Revised Code 2903.01. It states that on or about the 22nd day of July, you did purposely cause the death of an unidentified female while committing another felony. The offense was committed 1 week to 9 months prior to the finding of the body. That is a Jane Doe murder. The second murder is the same date, on or about the 22nd day of July. Michael Madison did purposely cause the death of an Angela Deskins while committing another felony. And then there's a third murder charge. On or about the 22nd day of July, Michael Madison did purposely cause the death of an unidentified female while committing another felony. The offense was committed 1 week to 1 month prior to the finding of the body. All of those are felonies of the first degree because they are aggravated murder. They are punishable by a possible death or life in prison and a $100,000 fine. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And now Van Terry says something to the judge during the trial against the man who killed his daughter.
Father Shirley Terry. Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this clown who's touched our families.
Terry is now speaking directly to Madison, and that's when
Taking my child.
And for these crimes, Madison was sentenced to death in 2016. This is Larry Nassar. Nassar, an American sex offender, was also a former doctor of osteopathy. For 18 years, he was the doctor to the United States women's gymnastics team, a job that allowed him to get close to the hundreds of girls he abused. And now the victims of abuse are speaking out.
I'm afraid to go to sleep every night, afraid that I will have yet another nightmare. You have taken away my trust in others and for me to be able to form relationships with anybody. You took away the trust of my parents, which no child should ever question. None of this was ever their fault, but you led me to believe that because my parent was sitting in the room, just feet away, and you still didn't mind violating that trust that we had in you. You made everyday conversation while you were assaulting me.
Thursday of last week, I saw my doctor for a follow-up on sleep medication to help me with my nightmares. She told me about the trial and that her own daughters were testifying. I had never read any articles, watched any videos, or asked any questions before that. I did not want to know anything. I was in denial. But when I got home from that appointment, I got on my laptop and watched all 3 days of the trial so far. I stayed up for hours and sat there in shock. What I realized was that I am not an outlier. My story is so similar to many other girls. There were times where I felt like I was listening to myself. I was affected by Larry. He did hurt me, and he hurt hundreds of other young women.
I really feel that my entire family has gone through hell and back these last few months because of what Larry Nassar did to both of my sisters and I years ago. I have known Larry Nassar for most of my life. He once was someone I had always trusted. I first met him when I was a young gymnast that competed for Twist Stars. I remember being a kid playing outside of his training room while he treated one of my sisters for an injury. I remember that when I broke my arm later on in my life that he was my doctor. I remember going through a very painful back injury in the spring of 2014 during a high school softball season. I remember how excited I was to hear that Nassar would be treating me. Not only because he was someone that I was familiar with, but also because by this time I now knew that he was known as the best of the best.
And now the father of a girl victim asks the judge for permission before attacking Nassar.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon. Would you do that?
That is not.
Yes or no?
No, sir.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how
And the victim's father couldn't take it anymore.
Well, I'm going to have to get something out.
Stay down. Stay down. I understand.
Let me have that son of a bitch.
I understand, but stay down.
I want that.
Stop fighting. Behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
I want that son of a bitch.
Put your hands behind your back. I know.
Give me 1 minute with that pass through.
Go ahead. You're good.
Larry was sentenced to 60 years in prison after pleading guilty to sexual assault, and was also sentenced to 125 years in prison after pleading guilty to 3 other sexual offenses. This is Quinn Bowes. Bowes, accused of the death of his 11-week-old child, is attacked by the child's uncle after his arrest. And as a result of this attack, the boy's uncle Jeremiah was sentenced to 179 days in prison. This is Lindy Jones. Lindy Jones, charged with murder in South Carolina, killed 18-year-old Willie Antoine Fields. And now the victim's mother, Angela, has a few words for Lindy.
Your Honor, I just want to let you know just what they took from me.
Angela's husband can't wait any longer and attacks Lindy. This is Jason Howard. Howard is on trial for the murder of his ex-girlfriend and her 3 children. Howard explains that he was the only one who took care of them, so he is innocent.
And I was a protector and a provider for my family, but I wasn't there to protect them and die with them. And I wish I was. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd rather be dead right now.
His ex-girlfriend's family blamed Jason for the death.
Jason Howard was sentenced to 44 years in prison for a murder he had nothing to do with.